A rematch of last year's final is on the cards in the Caja Magica as top seeds Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka square off for the 2024 Mutua Madrid Open title. Will Sabalenka retain her title and best the pole again, or will Iga avenge last year's loss and lift the trophy for the first time in the Spanish capital? Hi, I'm Christian Basnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. Iga leads the head-to-head with Aryna 6-3 and was victorious in their last meeting, which was at the 2023 WTA Finals in the semifinal round, which the pole took pretty handily in straight sets. Sabalenka won their second-to-last meeting, which of course was last year's Madrid final, taking it in 3 sets. Despite Sabalenka picking up the year's first slam in Melbourne, Iga has had the better season overall thus far, claiming 2 titles, which were 1,000 tournaments in Doha and Indian Wells. Swiatek also has a tour-leading 31 wins this season. Iga also has the edge in having spent considerably less time on court this fortnight, 3 hours less in fact. Sabalenka has had to grind her way to the finals and in fact lost exactly 3 times more games in her 5 matches compared to Swiatek. Taking a brief look at Aryna's road to the championship, she opened with 2 hard-fought wins over Magna Linette and Robin Montgomery before pulling off the comeback to end the 15-match win streak of red-hot Danielle Collins. Aryna got her lone straight sets win over 17-year-old Mira Andreeva in the quarters before fighting back from the brink of defeat to down Elena Rybakina in an epic semifinal affair. Talking about that match between her and Elena, what a battle, honestly, between those two. This is definitely going to be a match of the year contender. It was on pace to be a dud, honestly, and a disappointment early on because Rybakina just totally outplayed Sabalenka for the first set and a half. Aryna had no answers for Elena's heavy ball striking, and the 4th seed really did an excellent job of getting on top of the baseline and just dictating play from the word go. She really opened up the court and exposed Sabalenka's movement nicely, and that's definitely something that Iga will look to do in tomorrow's final, especially with that cross-court forehand and as well that cross-court backhand. I thought for sure that this semifinal match would just be a repeat of earlier this year's Brisbane final, where Elena absolutely waxed the Belarusian. Rybakina went up breaks on multiple occasions in that second set, but Aryna did a great job of just hanging in there and waiting for an opportunity to get herself back in the match, and that's exactly what she did, especially when she was down 4-5 when Rybakina served for the match. Elena was 2 points away from the W at 30 all, but honestly, she gifted Sabalenka the break with 2 uncharacteristic unforced errors. Aside from being aided by Rybakina's mistakes, Sabalenka did a much better job of just holding serve, and I think that comes from both, improving her serve, getting more first serves in play, and then also doing better on getting more depth on her ground strokes. And then 2, she spread the court much better to get Rybakina on the move. She also didn't drop serve for the remainder of the match from 5-4 in the second set on, and those strong serving numbers will definitely be key for Aryna when she plays Iga in this final. Sabalenka also did very well to change direction whenever she had opportunities to go down the line on both her forehand and her backhand, and she also had a lot of success whenever she stepped up and took more time away from Rybakina, which is definitely something she needs to do in this final, as she did this very well in last year's final against Iga. I was most impressed though by Aryna's incredible fighting capabilities, not only in this match, but this entire week. It definitely must have not been easy for her, knowing that she was the defending champion here in Madrid and was on the verge of losing her number 2 ranking to Coco Gauff had she not made the final here. I also commend her for not self-imploding, especially in those matches against Magna Linette and Robin Montgomery, and just how she was able to problem solve against those two, and especially against the 2 informed players, or 2 of the most informed players at that moment in Collins and Rybakina. Her serve has definitely been better this tournament compared to the last few tournaments that she's played, and she's kept the double faults at bay for the most part. Sometimes she'll sprinkle in a few more, but that's bound to happen when you have a player like her that goes after her second serve a little bit more. This would be especially key in tomorrow's final against Iga too. Now, Iga's road to the final was far less eventful, as she dispatched practically all of her opponents, including Wang Qinyu, Sorana Cirstea, Sara Sorribes-Tormo, and Madison Keys. Her lone set loss was to 11th seed Beatriz Haddad Maia, but she steamrolled the Brazilian in the final 2 sets there. I'm not going to go into as much in depth when considering Iga's play, because it's just definitely been a typical Swiatek performance on the clay, as she's dictated with her forehand especially. That said, this tournament in particular, she's been playing more to the conditions in Madrid with the higher bounces, as she's been using more spin and weight of shot to get the ball up and out of her opponent's strike zone, which has worked wonderfully. Her serve and return have also been solid, but also her defensive skills as well. Maddie Keys, her semifinal opponent, like Aryna Sabalenka, is a big power player, but the American was not able to overwhelm the Polish woman because of Iga's superior defensive skills. That's part of what makes her so good on the clay, because she's able to get so many more balls back in play, and she can't be overpowered as much here on the dirt. And it honestly feels for opponents that you have to win the point multiple times, which can be debilitating mentally, definitely. Now, talking about how Aryna has the advantage in this matchup here in the finals, even though she is the underdog, which I'll get into a little bit later, Aryna has the confidence of already winning the tournament 2 times prior, this Madrid Open 2 times prior, and of course beating Iga in last year's final. While Iga has won 3 of their 4 matches on clay, the higher altitude conditions in Madrid definitely favor Aryna's game a little bit more, which is why she was so successful last year. And then, of course, as I alluded to earlier, Aryna will be the underdog in this match. And yeah, she's the defending champion, but really Aryna still has nothing to lose here, especially having to battle to even get to this point to make the finals, especially that recent match where she was 2 points away from losing to a red-hot Aryna Rybakina. Making the finals, honestly, is a huge achievement in itself. So I expect her to come out and play, free, and knowing that she's playing the best clay court player in the world right now in Iga Swiatek. Really, she has nothing to lose. And then, of course, I think Aryna will take a lot of confidence from knowing that, of course, she beat a great player in Aryna Rybakina. Of course, that first set was ugly, but Sabalenka is indeed routing into form, I believe, match by match. Aryna was arguably the best player on tour heading into this match, and she of course beat Iga recently in Stuttgart in the semifinals there. Like I said, Aryna will be, she won't be the favorite in this match in this final, but getting that win over Aryna, I feel, will definitely give her the confidence that she needs in order to knock the pole out as well. Now, going over to advantage Swiatek, I think that Iga is in not far superior form, but she's just in superior form compared to Aryna, and she doesn't have to raise her level of play significantly higher, while Aryna might have to do so in order to win this match. Iga too has spent considerably less time on court, which I mentioned in my head-to-head comparison, and there are question marks of perhaps Aryna being tired, especially if this match does go the distance. This might not be as much of a factor considering that Aryna will have a day's rest, but like I said, Sabalenka her legs might be a little bit gone, and she just might, throw in a whole bunch of errors, especially if things go deep here. Now, Sabalenka too, there's questions of whether she's already reached her peak against Iga, especially on the clay. Aryna said that in her post-match press conference after beating Rybakina, that last year's Madrid Open final was the best match that she's ever played on clay. And she said that her level was just super high and that it was clean, intense, just powerful. And Iga, meanwhile, felt like her best has yet to come against Aryna on the dirt, especially. But overall, she said that Iga has not played her best tennis on clay. So I feel like, I wouldn't be surprised if she came out and just utterly dominate. That might be a little bit too much, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was just a one-sided affair for her. And I feel like she's definitely, even though she beat Aryna in their last match in Cancun, she might have last year's final thoughts in her mind and just being really, really keen on getting revenge here at this stage. Now, going to my predictions, I do predict Iga to win this match in straight sets. I predict a score of around, 6-3, 6-4. I think Iga honestly would much rather play Aryna compared to Aryna, and I say that because Rybakina's game, I feel like, troubles Iga's game a lot more. And Rybakina has the consistency overall that Sabalenka doesn't have. I think that when you go pound for pound, Sabalenka has a bit more firepower, but as far as consistency goes, Aryna has more, and that's why I think Rybakina has been more successful against Iga compared to Aryna. Overall, when you compare Swiatek to Sabalenka, I think Iga is the steadier player, and we really haven't seen her have a bad lapse this entire week, unlike Sabalenka, where the Belarusian has periods where she just totally sprays unforced errors. Aryna cannot afford to do that against Iga, and I think Aryna definitely tightened up in that semifinal match, but I don't expect Iga to do this. Looking back at that Madrid Open final, Sabalenka played a tremendous match, but I just simply don't think that she's at that level right now, which is what she needs to have in order to beat Iga. I think this final will be a matter of whoever gets on the front foot will be more successful. And as I said earlier, Sabalenka can do this by maintaining good depth and taking the ball early and changing direction whenever she has the opportunity to do so. Both need to look to attack the second serves, as that would be the softest shot, or one of the softest shots they'll see out there on court. I think the deciding factor, though, to me will be, the inevitable moment where Sabalenka has those, times where she sprays a lot of unforced errors, and I think that Iga will take full advantage of this. There is a chance that Iga could do the same, and then Aryna, of course, could simply out-hit her and take a set, or of course two, but I don't see that happening on Saturday. That's it for my preview / prediction, and let me know in the comments whether you agree with me in having Iga take this match in 2 sets, or do you think Aryna will grab a set, or even the entire match? Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you all are notified whenever I post my post-match thoughts for this one. Thank y'all so much for watching. Once again, I'm Christian, and I'll see y'all next time here on Christian's Court.